I did a previous video about should you invest in a play for Shortlet, and a lot of people appreciated some of the guides and advices I shared in that video. So sequel to that video, should you invest in Chevron Lekki for Shortlet? Does it make sense for you to get an apartment, for you to get a duplex in Chevron, majorly for Airbnb and for Shortlet? In case you are coming across a video like this for the first time, this Meet the Property Guy Property channel, and this will discuss everything real estate for avid investors who have been investing already, new investors who are just starting to acquire few properties here, and also beginners who are just about to invest. We share tips, guides, and advice on the risk attached to what you want to put your money into, the risk attached to what you have already put your money into, the terms, the document that you must understand before you start investing in real estate, as well as the market analysis about the return on investment that you can make based on the real estate investment that you are making. So after watching this particular educative guide, we also have some like 4 to 5 previous videos I've done about Shortlet, how to start investing in Shortlet, how to make money in Shortlet, the market analysis of Shortlet, running expenses in Shortlet, the locations you should also look out for Shortlet. I also advise after watching this particular video, you go through our playlist and watch our videos specifically about Shortlets. So let's go into the topic. Should you invest in Chevron Lekki for Shortlet? Now, for those people that are not familiar with Chevron, Chevron is on the island. Chevron is in Lekki, popularly known as Chevron Drive. Now, we have some very classy and premium estates around the Chevron Drive. We have Chevy View estate, we have Bera estate, we have this estate also by Megamond, Castle something. We have Lekki Gardens also down the road in Chevron, and we have Tulip around Tulip estate, around the Chevron alternative, and some very premium estate around that location. Now, one of the very classy locations after Lekki Phase 1 is the Chevron Drive. Currently, a semi-detached duplex in Chevron is between 95 to 105 million for a 4-bedroom semi-detached duplex, while a terrace duplex in Chevron right now is 70 to 80 million. Now, for a fully detached duplex in Chevron, you should be budgeting between 150 to 220 million. Although personally, I'm not going to advise you invest in a fully detached duplex for Shortlet. Rather, you can do maybe rentals on it, on a fully detached, or just buy and flip. Now, let's go back to what we were talking about. Now, the Chevron Drive is before the Lekki second toll gate. We have 2 toll gates in Lekki. We have the first toll gate at Admiralty, just before the Lekki Phase 1, and then we have the second toll gate at Orchid. So Chevron Drive, the Chevron roundabout, is just before the Lekki second toll gate. Now, there are a lot of properties that are selling around the Lekki second toll gate that at times realtors put it as Chevron toll gates or Chevron Lekki. Chevron is different from the toll gates. Chevron is far more classy and also more expensive than the second toll gate. So you should understand both of them. Chevron is at the right hand side. For those going to Lekki, the Lekki second toll gates, which are Orchid, Ikota, are the left hand side. So don't mix it up. If you are investing in Orchid or Ikota, the kind of target market you are investing in that location is different from the target market in Chevron, because relatively Chevron is flood free and far more classy, as I said, because of the premium estate that are in that location. The Chevy View estate, the Bera estate, these are like very fantastic estates. Now, does it make sense for you to invest in Chevron for Shortlet or for Airbnb? Absolutely yes. Chevron already have an existing market for Shortlet and Airbnb, which means that there are already people right now that have apartments in Chevron that they are putting out for Shortlet, and there are already people right now that are taking these apartments. There are even people right now that are looking for these apartments. Now, why would people want to take a Shortlet in Chevron instead of go to maybe Aja or go to Sengotedo? Is number one, Chevron is much closer. Number 2, Chevron is relatively flood free. Number 3, Chevron is far more classy. Orchid, Ikota, I beat like the Promise Lekki, but Chevron is far more for the high class people. That's why properties there are more expensive, and at least relatively, a lot of the high class people will prefer to stay in Chevron instead of going to Orchid or go to Ikotab. So if you have an apartment, a 1, 2 or 3 bed apartment in Chevron Lekki, you can easily convert that apartment to short stay, start charging per night or charging per week or charging per month, and there is an existing market for it. Now, for those that watched my previous video about if you should invest in Ekpe for Shortlet, I explained that Ekpe is an emerging market, which means that the Shortlet market right now is moving there gradually. Now, for Shortlet market on the island, we have Ikoyi and Victoria Island. Those two locations take up 40% of the Shortlet demand on the island. So out of 100 people, 40 people will prefer to stay in VI or Ikoyi for Shortlet. Now, Lekki Phase 1 and Ikate are the next place. Those ones are sharing around like 30% of that market demand on the island. Now, Chevron have between 7% to 10% of the demand for Shortlet market on the island, which is not really bad because that's definitely going to grow. Another reason why the Shortlet market in Chevron might likely boom between 1 or 2 years is the fact that there is a regional road that is currently under construction that is going to link VGC to Lekki Phase 1, which is going to ease the traffic from the Lekki Expressway, because everyone doesn't have to come to the Lekki Expressway now. So for people that have properties around the Chevron Drive, your residents and you personally don't have to come to the Lekki Expressway to get to Lekki Phase 1 or to get to Ikoyi Bridge. Just taking the Chevron Drive straight down, you can connect to the regional road, and just behind along the lagoon, you can connect back to Freedom Way and go back to Lekki Phase 1 without coming to the Lekki Expressway at all. So this alternative road will definitely open that location for more investment, more rental demand, more housing demand, and the Shortlet market will also experience a surge. So that's another reason why Chevron is also still another fantastic location for Shortlet. Now, if you consider the cost of apartments in Ikoyi and VI right now, which holds 40% of the market share of Shortlet on the island, then you are going to see that it's quite expensive. The entry price is quite high because that's like 120, 150 million for you to get a 1 bed or 2 bed apartment. But right now in Chevron, around like 40 million, 36 million to 50 million, you can still get a serviced apartment. And remember, there's a video I did about how to start Shortlet. The lower the price or the cost that you are starting with, the better, because this is something that you have not done before. So it's better the entry price that you are going into is lower, so that you can use that to gather experience, learn the market, learn what works, learn what doesn't work. So instead of you to get a 1 bed apartment or 2 bed apartment at Lekki Phase 1 at 90 million, 120 million, 100 million, you can just come to Chevron, get a 2 bed or 3 bed, spend below 50 million, spend around like 10, 12 million to furnish it, and you can use that to gather more experience about the Shortlet market, about user experiences, user expectations about Shortlet before you now go to Lekki Phase 1 or VI to start your major investment. Does it make sense? So, should you invest in Chevron Lekki? Absolutely yes. Would the Shortlet market in Chevron surge in the next 2 or 3 years? Absolutely yes. So the faster you start that location, investing in Chevron for Shortlet, the better. So for anyone looking to invest on the island, in the Lekki axis, for Shortlet and Airbnb specifically, your investment or your preferences must end at Chevron max. Anything after Chevron right now on the island is an emerging market for Shortlet. You can squeeze in Orchid a bit, but anything after Chevron right now is an emerging market. So for Chevron, you can still get like 30% occupancy rate, which is like 9 days in a month occupancy, which is relatively okay. So if you have further questions about Chevron Drive, investing in Chevron Drive, properties in Chevron Drive, and I have opportunities, I have properties in my portfolio at Chevron Lekki, as well as before Chevron around Ikate, as well as after Chevron around Orchid down to Ebama Desoya. And I can always guide you about the different occupancy rates that you should be expecting on these different apartments and these different locations. So if you have further questions, you can drop your comments below, and as well you can reach me directly on WhatsApp. My WhatsApp number is always on the screen, and we can share some guides and advice, and as well share some properties that we have on our portfolio with you. So as your number one property on the planet, your property advisor, property consultant, Rabi Mustafa. Thanks for watching our videos. Don't forget, if you have learned from this video, give us a thumb like, give us a thumb like, give us a thumb like, and as well also subscribe to our videos so that you don't miss any of these educative guides. Thanks, and see you next time.